Thanks for logging on to myfoxhurricane.com. So we are heading towards that peak of the season, September 10th. It is right around the corner. So far, things have been pretty quiet as of late, but we're starting to see some signs of maybe some increased activity. As we head through next week, we're just looking at that probability or that chance of formation of a tropical cyclone, whether it's a depression, a tropical storm, or anything above that. And it's basically in those areas that you would somewhat expect this time of the year. You see this broad area, kind of that pink shade, right around that 20% chance. And then we have a 40% chance of in some of these other areas. And you'll see why as we go through some of these maps, why we're starting to see signs that maybe the tropics are coming back to life. Now, we've got two areas that are highlighted right now. This one here doesn't actually have anything in it at this point. What it is computer models are just indicating as we go through the weekend into next week, an area low pressure could be forming in this area and then working its way on towards the west. And then we also have this one area, just this little area of low pressure. At this point, I'm not really thinking anything's going to happen with this because it's dealing with some strong wind shear and also some dry air. So really the chances of anything happening with that is very, very low. Even if it does, it'll basically be working its way across open water, so no big issue there. Now, as you look closer to Africa, what we watch this time of the year is just these waves coming off the coastline of Africa. But you see what's happening? You've got a lot of this dust. So in fact, you can see right through here, we did have one kind of a vigorous wave. You see another one right over here. But with all that dust, what happens is these basically just kind of fall apart. So any of these that are working their way in that traditional area that we'd be watching, they're just all kind of mixed in with all that dry Saharan dust. And so they just really struggle. There's some strong winds as well. And that's why you're seeing the dust as well, because of the strong winds. So everything's being displaced a bit further to the south. And that's a big reason why we just haven't seen as much going on here over the past several weeks. There you see some of these strong winds right along the coastline. So that really tends to inhibit any of the development just because of the wind shear, and it's picking up a lot of this dust, which will continue to be the case over the next week or so. But there's signs that this will start to subside some, maybe lift a little bit further towards the north. So watch this on the Fox model. Pretty interesting because as we head towards the weekend and into next week, we're getting more and more of these waves. A little sign here, there's that one that I just showed you that could be working its way through the middle of the Atlantic. But here's another wave coming off the coastline and showing some signs that maybe it'll get a little spin in there as well. So this is that other area that's to the south and east of Bermuda. Here's Bermuda right here. And this is the area that's been highlighted by the Hurricane Center, and the low is actually right about here. So what you're seeing is all that convection sitting on that north and eastern side of the storm, and that tells us there's a lot of wind shear. So this system's really going to struggle. That's why I say it really doesn't have much of a chance. And then on top of it, here's the system again. Remember, the center is down here, so you've got all this dry air. And so the winds are coming up from that southwesterly direction, shearing this, but that is also driving a lot of that dry air right into the system. The Pacific has been very busy. We've got Tropical Storm Hone. Actually, all these are tropical storms, Gilma, and then Hector, which actually looks fairly impressive. But when you start to look at these things closer, they are all dealing with dry air and wind shear. And both of these systems, they will continue to weaken as we go through the coming days. In fact, you look at Gilma right now, winds are at 45 miles an hour. This is the one small threat to Hawaii, not because of the winds, but just some additional rains could be working their way towards Hawaii as we head into the weekend. It'll pass to the north of the islands. It will weaken into a tropical depression and a post-tropical storm, basically kind of a remnant low, but it will bring some rains across some of the islands. In fact, you look at where the rain is working its way through. The one bonus or the plus on this is with the passing to the north, it's kind of that wraparound with that rain. So some of the areas that were hit really hard with Hone working its way through. It's going to be on the opposite side of the island. So this is the area that we're dealing with the extremely heavy rains, foot of rain. With the last system, looks like the rain, the bulk of the rain will tend to fall on the opposite side of the island. So we're going to keep you updated on all this activity coming up over the next week or two right here on myfoxhurricane.com.